with the mind maps about nutrition, let's break it down and try and brainstorm and remember everything that we know. Nutrition has to do with the study of how your body uses food that you eat, and nutrients is just a chemical substance in the food that helps maintain the body, and some provide energy. So all help um, build cells and tissues. So all the nutrients they actually help build cells and tissues, regulate bodily processes such as breathing and various autonomic functions too. So no single food supplies all the nutrients that the body needs to function. That's why you need a balanced diet. And there are already six major classifications of nutrients, and there are subclasses though, but the major ones are carbohydrates, proteins, fats, minerals, vitamins, water, with the carbohydrates being sugars, starch, cellulose. And nutrients that have high calories are the carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. And when you talk about calories, a unit of measure of energy in food, and sometimes it's being calculated in whether joules, kilojoules, or kilocalories. So 1 gram of protein is equivalent to 4 calories. That's the same for carbohydrates. 1 gram, 4 calories, but fat is higher. 1 gram is about 9 calories. So the variables which affect nutrient needs include age, gender, activity level, climate, health, and the state of nutrition too. And when you talk about energy or calories, for the food nutrients, of course, supplies and but with the output or the expenditure, so with the body temperature, nerve impulses, muscular activity, even respiration, has beating and external work of physical activity and several other enzymatic activities in protein synthesis, hormone synthesis will affect the energy that we use. So when you talk about efficiency and efficacy has to do with the percentage of the total energy which is converted to useful energy, that is ATP. 40% is being used and the other 60% is just for heat, and ATP is just 40% of the total energy. And with a unit of measurement, like I said, calories or kilocalories, and joules could be converted to joules or kilojoules or megajoules, and 1 kilocalories is equal to 4,184 joules or 4.184 kilojoules. So with a direct measurement of the energy content of particular nutrient, we'll deal with the total combustion in a bomb calorimeter, and the rise in temperature is converted to heat or energy is being measured. But the indirect measurement has to do with the calculation of the heat output from the volume of oxygen consumed in oxidizing the food, and it depends on the type of food metabolized. So with this, let's look at respiratory quotient. The respiratory quotient for glucose is 1. That of fat is 0.71. That of protein is 0.81. So if you know that of the balanced diet, which is 0.85, then that helps you to know, okay, so how close is it to it and how to adjust it accordingly. So with the respiratory quotient, is measured by the volume of carbon dioxide produced over the volume of oxygen used. So the volume of the respiratory quotient of glucose. Let's take glucose plus oxygen in a balanced equation. You get carbon dioxide and water, and then the coefficients will be 6 for a balanced equation, both for the oxygen and that of the carbon dioxide. So 6 over 6 is 1. That's why the respiratory quotient of glucose is 1. For cerealic acid, which is a fatty acid, that of the coefficient of oxygen is 80, that of carbon dioxide is 57, so 57 over 80 is 0.71, and with that of protein 0.8, and the balanced diet is 0.85. So the energy requirement, or the recommended daily allowance RDA, 70 kilogram average man is 2,900 kilocalories per day, and 50 kilogram average woman is 2,100 kilocalories per day. So the total energy requirement, you have the basal metabolic rate, the specific dynamic action, which is also the referred to as the diet-induced thermogenesis, and also physical activity. Alright, so energy balance, we deal with energy intake and also energy output. With energy intake, can talk about carbohydrate, fat, and protein, and energy output, physical activity, food processing, basal and basic body functions. So with the energy balance, the energy intake and output helps. If the energy intake and the energy output are equal, then you maintain a particular weight. But if your intake is more than the output, then there is weight gain, which is the positive energy balance. With the negative energy balance, that is if the intake is less than the output, you lose weight. So with the energy intake, or the regulation of the energy intake, you can think of several factors like adipokines, like the resins, leptins, and interleukin 1 thymoid creatine factor alpha, and you can think of, so that's like satiety signals. These adipokines affect the hypothalamus and bring the sensation of satiety. But then if ghrelin is being, it's more of stimulation of appetite, so the cessation or feeling of stopping eating or not hungry has to do with leptin. Alright, so the internal cues like hunger, prompting eating, when you're ready to eat, and all those things are hormonally regulated, as I said. Alright, so with the external cues, appetite, psychological desire to eat, and also it's being influenced by the eating environment. So the control, what actually stimulates it are the internal response and the physiological response, and the eating environment also. So with the internal factors, we have gastrointestinal sensations like the sense of fullness, and the neurological and hormonal factors like neuropeptide Y, ghrelin, and leptin. So with external factors, we have the diet composition like energy density, balance of the energy sources and forms, and also macronutrients, sensory properties, and taste too. So with the external factors, you can think of the portion size, the super size culture, environment and social factors, hypothalamus, and the emotional factors also affecting the hypothalamus also. Alright, so with the internal and external factors like mood and stress too, they affect. And more on the internal factors, like digestive organ functions, they influence hunger, central nervous system functions, conditions such as anorexia, as well as trauma, infection, mean temperature, direct effects to hormonal influences and metabolic influences, whether from hormones or neurotransmitters, or affect or regulate the energy intake. And external factors like social situations, the time of day, sensory properties of food, and the cultural background, and social and climatic environmental factors too. With the energy expenditure, total energy expenditure, which has to do with the fuel uses. The major components include the basal energy expenditure or the basal metabolic rate as the energy expenditure at work, and and like I said earlier, the basal metabolic rate or the basal um, the energy expenditure at stress is the minimum um, energy or amount of energy measured in the resting post absorptive state or in the resting state, and the energy of um, basic body functions has to do with it's the BMR, and it's affected by the body size, composition, age, and gender. And when it comes to the output, the resting energy expenditure takes about 60 to 75%, the thermic energy effect of food about 10%, and physical activity about 15 to 30%. And with the major components of energy expenditure, physical activity comes into play, which is highly variable and is affected by body size, fitness level, and the type of activity. And the thermic effect of food too has to do with it, and the energy to digest or absorb and metabolize food too. Right. So when it comes to estimating the energy expenditure with the basal metabolic rate or the resting energy expenditure, it's 1 kilocalories per kilogram per hour for males and 0.9 kilocalories per kilogram per hour for females. With physical activity as on a percentage of the resting energy expenditure. With the thermic effect of food, it's about 6% to 10% of the resting energy expenditure plus physical activity. Alright. With estimated energy requirements, the equations for males and females depends on factors such as the age, weight, height, and physical activity, and predicts the total energy expenditure. Right. And more on understanding the fatness and weight. The body composition plays a very great role, like the fats, nuzzling, muscle mass too. So when you are assessing the body weight, we use this parameter, the body mass index or BMI. This is not a perfect parameter though. There are several that could be used. I'll talk about those ones later. So it's measured by the weight in kilograms over or divided by the height square in meters. So the basal metabolic rate, if and all these play a role, but using the body mass index, if the body mass index is less than 18.5 kilogram per meter squared, that is underweight. If it is between 18.5 to 25 kilograms per meter squared, that's normal weight. But from 25 to 30 kilograms per meter squared, that is overweight, and above 30 kilograms per meter squared is obese. Alright, so there are other ways of assessing body fatness, like underwater weighing, bob skin fold measurement, bioelectric impedance, and also when it comes to body fat distribution, we have this pear shaped and the apple shaped. The pear being the gynoid obesity, where excess fat accumulates in the hips and thighs or buttocks, and when it comes to the android obesity, that's the apple shaped, where there is excess fat around the abdominal regions. And also the waist circumference is also another parameter that could be used in the measurement of the body fat or obesity. And this is a major overweight is a major public health concern or problem. You can think of American youth health people in decades ago, compare that to now. So what is obesity? Like I said, is a condition in which the natural energy reserves, which is stored in fat tissue, is expanded far beyond the usual levels to a point where it impairs health, and it predisposes to diseases, particularly cardiovascular and metabolic diseases. So obesity is actually a leading cause of preventable illness and death worldwide. In the last 10 years or the last decade, the number of overweight people in industrialized countries has increased significantly, so much that even the World Health Organization has called obesity an epidemic. In United States, for example, 133% of the population, which is about 60 million people, are overweight, and prevalence of obesity for the population 18 years and above was 5.5% in the statistics that was like in the research that was done in Ghana, and more common in the southern part of the country compared to the northern part. It was highest in Greater Accra was 16.1% and virtually not present in the Upper East and Upper West. By ethnicity, obesity was highest among Ga, Dangwe, Ewes, and Akans, with percentages 14.6 for Ga, Dangwe, 6.6 for Ewes, and 6.0 for Akans. So was more common in females than in males. In females 7.9% and in males 2.8%, and it's more common among married and unmarried, and even the separated or divorced population had more obese individuals. Obesity was highest among the employed compared to self-employed and the non-working populations too. So what are the etiological factors or the causes? You can think of genetic, socioeconomic factors, food intake, sedentary lifestyle, pregnancy, increasing childhood adipose and fat cells, endocrine factors, environmental factors, drug-induced brain damage, viruses, psychological issues too. Alright, so when it comes to calorie scale, can think of the input and output. So beyond BMI or the body mass index, what shape you can think of the apple and the pear shapes I talked about. And like I said, the pears, they have the fat deposits around their hips and buttocks and their thighs, while the apples have the more fat deposits around the trunk and abdominal region. The apples have a high risk of type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular diseases. And well, how we see the conditions has to do with being influenced by cultural backgrounds. There are so many wrong perceptions. When people say obesity as pleasing oneself, pleasing partners, looking good in dresses, and sign of status or status symbol, sign of good health, both affluence, social grace, disregard for small structured persons, and sign of marital harmony. So the factors of obesity in the development of obesity: biological, which includes heredity, gene, environment, fat cell development, sex and age, race and ethnicity, with factors in the development of obesity. Can think of social and environmental factors like socioeconomic status, built environment, the human form, developed and or structured areas, and also social factors too. And with the factors, some include the lifestyle and behavioral, physical activity, lack of exercise, psychological factors like restrained eaters, binge eaters. With the health, risks of obesity and overweight, think of heart disease, stroke, diabetes, hypertension, metabolic syndrome, cancer, gallbladder disease, joint conditions, and sleep apnea. When it comes to weight cycling, think of low LDL cholesterol, hypertension. With weight management, it has to do with the adoption of healthful and sustainable eating and exercise behaviors indicated for reduced disease risk and improved feelings of energy and well-being. So weight management has to do with the perception of weight and setting realistic goals, metabolic fitness too. Weight management, lifestyle, diet and eating habits. Total calories, crash diets doesn't really work. And when it comes to balancing energy sources, fat is very important, and also proteins to eating habits and physical activity. Thinking and emotions plays a role in weight management, stress and depression, um, leads to overweight and obesity. Balance and acceptance and change to plays a role. Weight management approaches, self-help books and manuals to watch for signs of weight, meal replacements, self-help groups, commercial programs, professional counselors, anti-obesity prescription drugs. They are all very important. With the weight management approaches, prescription drugs, over-the-counter drugs, and dietary supplements, cautions of safety and ingredients are very important. With the weight management approaches, surgery, obesity, that's in extreme obesity or last ditch efforts that we use. It could be the gastric banding or the gastric bypass. So the vertical banded gastroplasty has to do with surgery that reduces the stomach capacity by creating a small pouch. And with the gastric bypass, just small surface area is being removed. So the food is being deposited directly from the into the jejunum, so it creates a bypass on the upper part of the stomach to the jejunum. And so when it comes to underweight, well, the causes assessment has to do with altered responses, eating disorders, factors, and metabolic and hereditary factors, prolonged physical activity and emotional stress, addiction to alcohol and street drugs too, and also bizarre dietary patterns. When it comes to weight gain strategies, we have small frequent meals, fluids between meals, high calorie foods and beverages, timers, and other cues, and also vitamins or mineral supplements. Okay, so that's it for nutrition. It's an introduction to nutrition. We'll look at several mind maps later and try and brainstorm and bring back everything that we know about them.